So what's going to be the outcome of Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam coming up very, very shortly? Will Paul Heyman turn on Brock Lesnar and join Roman Reigns? Now, there's a reason why I'm making this video. I'm not one of those guys that throws out random theories and kind of, I guess caters to people who have all these wacky ideas that are probably not going to happen. But I've been putting some actual thought into this. And it seems like based on the way that the WWE television's been going, Raw specifically the last couple of weeks, there's a very good chance, very, very good chance that by the end of SummerSlam, Paul Heyman will have betrayed Brock Lesnar and possibly aligned himself with Roman Reigns. Now, there was talk of this finish being a possibility all the way back during Roman and Lesnar's first match at WrestleMania 31. Because even back then, back then's really where it began. Roman was getting that terrible backlash from the fans, mostly because of, he was being pushed really hard, and Daniel Bryan was still kind of the golden boy to the fandom, and they went with Roman instead of Daniel Bryan. But, there were other reasons, but essentially what ended up happening was there was talk in the fandom, wouldn't it be great, if Heyman betrayed Lesnar like he did at Survivor Series 2002 against The Big Show and joined up with Roman Reigns. And they went with the Roman Reigns heel turn, which WWE has been very, very, very against for a while now. They've been very, very much against it because the Roman Reigns story is the weirdest thing. One of the weirdest stories when it comes to people being pushed in WWE, because in WWE historically, you look back for the past 50 years, Roman Reigns is the only guy who they've given a push to, who a lot of the fans continue to reject, even more so than John Cena. This is way worse than the ones who booed Cena, and yet they haven't given up on him. They've coronated this man 4 years now. They have been trying to get him to be the top guy for 4 years, and they've somehow, some way, it just hasn't happened. The fans just don't want this guy to be the top guy. Look at the reactions he gets in certain cities and certain markets. But recently, the fans have kind of been going to his side because WWE has effectively made Brock Lesnar a heel, a definitive heel, where the fans really don't like him. And again, that's good on them. That's what they wanted to do, but it may have hurt Brock's drawing power in the future. But I still believe that no matter what, number one, Roman Reigns is definitely going to beat Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam because you can't have this guy Roman lose. I know some think that this guy is going to lose and there's going to be a cash-in. No, he has to win because he has lost to Brock Lesnar too many times. Not just in their one-on-one matches. There was 3-ways and 4-ways. Well, mainly a 4-way. But then they also had a 3-way in 2016. And Roman has never been able to defeat or pin Brock Lesnar. So it would make sense if that happened here, and it has to happen here. You just can't have Brock win again because it really will hurt Roman. But I think based on the storyline they've been giving us with Paul Heyman's little speech that we saw, on Raw, and then what happened the week before, which is when Lesnar essentially somewhat quasi-betrayed Paul, even though he really didn't. He bullied Paul around, and there was that whole thing where they had the interview, and they asked Paul, are you and Lesnar friends? And he kind of hesitated. So they're definitely planting the seeds for a Heyman-Lesnar breakup. Now, whether or not that breakup happens the night of the pay-per-view or the night after the pay-per-view or off-screen or whatever, that remains to be seen. But I really doubt it's going to be off-screen. So the idea could be now that Roman does defeat Lesnar and that Heyman aligns himself with Roman, and thereby, in a weird way, you're kind of turning Roman heel, but you're really not, because the fans are going to cheer Roman more if Heyman's in his corner, because Heyman has equity with the hardcore fans. Even if the hardcore fans don't like Lesnar or are mad at him or whatever, Paul Heyman, with the history of ECW and how much love he gets from the fans because of how, awesome he is at booking and awesome at creating characters and awesome at doing promos, the fans love Paul Heyman, right? Everybody loves Paul Heyman. He's one of the best talkers in the history of wrestling. So putting him with Roman is going to maybe make him heel, but also kind of make him cheered. I think it'll help Roman Reigns out. But if they don't want to go in that direction because they think that Heyman has way too much kind of a heel tarnish, they could always have Roman just beat Lesnar and then have Paul Heyman align himself with Kevin Owens, who might win the Money in the Bank briefcase earlier in the evening against Braun Strowman, or maybe have Strowman appear and have Heyman align himself with Strowman and have Strowman take Lesnar's place. What they could actually do is have Strowman be the top heel on Raw, because Raw is kind of babyface heavy right now. There aren't that many heels. They've been pushing Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, but as far as tippy top heels go, Lesnar is the top heel right now, but they need somebody else to be the top heel. And even though Strowman is not going to get booed anytime soon, because especially if he beats up on Roman Reigns, right? Because he's really over and he's really beloved. Having Heyman be with him and sort of play the top heel role and be Roman's rival, like what Lesnar was, except he's not going to show up every 3 months. He'll actually be there pretty much every week, I think could work. But at the same time, you're going to end up going back into the same situation again where Strowman and Heyman, even though they're going to be portrayed as heels and Roman will be portrayed as the conquering babyface, the fans are going to cheer Strowman more because they're just not going to cheer Roman over Strowman. It's just not going to happen. They've tried this so many times. It's just not going to happen. And it sucks for Roman, but that's just how it is. The dude is probably never going to be that top guy that everyone loves, like a Hulk Hogan or a Bret Hart or Steve Austin. He's just never going to be that guy. They've already tried for a long time, but that doesn't mean he's not going to be a major player and he can't be, a top guy. He can still be the guy, but he's just not going to be the guy they want him to be. I don't foresee that happening. Even if Roman Reigns beats Brock Lesnar clean and goes into Monday Night Raw the next night with the belt, I think the fans are going to boo him. I think that they'll boo Brock Lesnar, but they're going to go right back to booing Roman Reigns, especially if he comes down and cuts a victory promo. He'll get booed. It's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen the next night on Raw, it'll happen a couple weeks after. Roman's just not going to get cheered in this environment. And there's various reasons as to why. I don't have to explain it to you guys, I would hope. But either way, I think the idea of having Heyman turn on Lesnar, the seeds have been planted. The seeds have been planted. He's leaving to go do UFC. He's going to fight Daniel Cormier next year if everything goes good, if there's no injuries, if he passes all his drug tests, Daniel Cormier stays healthy. The fight's going to happen at the earliest in February of 2019. And after that fight, Daniel Cormier has said that's going to be his retirement fight. And then Lesnar may keep fighting, or he might come back to WWE. I've said before that Lesnar could come back. And if he does come back to WWE, they could very easily, if Heyman turns on him, you've already got like a ready-made storyline of Lesnar wanting to get revenge on Heyman and Heyman sort of creating maybe a new dangerous alliance. If you're old school WCW, you know what I'm talking about. A new dangerous alliance to kind of have, to feed guys into Lesnar and have Lesnar fight them. Or you could have Heyman and Lesnar reunite and just go back to where things were. I like the idea of Lesnar fighting against Heyman more. They've already done something similar to this, though. This storyline has been done back in 2003 on SmackDown. If you remember, Paul Heyman was actually an original member of Team Angle. Watch that late 2002-2003 SmackDown, which, by the way, is good stuff. I mean, if you watch this, you're going to enjoy yourself because that was some of the best TV ever. But Heyman turns on Lesnar, and then he turns on the Big Show, because he joins up with the Big Show, turns on him at Armageddon, I think it was, and joins up with Kurt Angle. Now, the Kurt Angle and Paul Heyman, thing with Team Angle and all that only lasted a couple of months because Kurt had to leave after WrestleMania 19 because he had the neck injury. He had to get the surgery done. So Heyman wound up not really feuding with Brock as much as before. So they could easily kind of rekindle that feud, the Heyman-Lesnar feud. It's sort of like what they did with Punk and Lesnar, in 2013, where Heyman was with Brock and Punk was his former guy. They could do that, except have Heyman, maybe bring up some monsters and have them kind of feud against Brock next year. They could do that. I mean, there's so many more possibilities. And as much as I'll miss Heyman cutting promos for Brock because he was awesome, it might be even more awesome to have him cut promos against Brock because it makes him kind of a hypocritical heel. You've been putting this dude over as unstoppable for years and years and years, but now you're going to say, I'm going to crush you or whatever he's going to say. I think that would make for some great television. I think that would be great. I would love to see that. I think that the time has come for Heyman to betray Brock. Plus, if Brock leaves, that doesn't mean that Heyman's going to leave. Heyman could stick around. They could easily do the Heyman-Lesnar, they could easily keep Heyman around to cut promos for Ronda Rousey, Strowman, Roman, whoever they put Heyman with. He's too valuable to just not use because Brock's going to UFC. Brock's going to go to UFC and fight his fight. Heyman can stick around and cut promos and stay in the business and get paid and entertain us. I think it's the perfect opportunity now. They've talked about this before, but now is the perfect opportunity to have Paul Heyman betray betray Brock Lesnar and maybe join up with Roman Reigns, Strowman, Kevin Owens. I mean, there's a lot of different guys he can join up with, and then you already have that storyline set up for next year. What do you think about this? Let me know. Drop a comment. What do you think? Thank you guys, and we'll see what happens at SummerSlam, but I really think, if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the last 2 weeks of Raw, watch the interview with Heyman. Really seems like this dude, they're setting something up. It makes sense. Talk to you soon.